Hey, what's up? It's been a while since I've made a video for this channel. It's been a bit too long, to be honest, just a whole bunch of life stuff, but that's besides the point. This video I really want to focus specifically on what the title suggests, which is telehealth, and that transition from traditional in-person counseling to telehealth counseling for mental health. First, I just want to say I'm making this video for two main reasons. The first one being that, well, the big reason being that obviously with everything going on in the world today, a lot of people are finding themselves in a position where they've had to transition from in-person counseling to telehealth, and most likely not because they chose to do so, but because of social distancing policies and stay-at-home guidelines and all that stuff. And the second one is actually because I've been doing telehealth myself for about 2 years now. I started in like March or so of 2018. And in addition to that, last semester in school, I did a project, a research paper for one of my communication classes on telemental health. And so combining kind of experience with the research I've done, I thought that I could probably just share a little bit and hopefully help people who are having to deal with this transition from in-person counseling to telemental health counseling. So that being said, I do want to just point out a few differences between my situation and other people's situation, all the people who are finding themselves having to switch right now during this time. So one of the first differences is just that I didn't make the switch to telemental health because I had to. It would happen to be what worked out best for me at the time, and it was suggested to me as an option, and I ended up really liking the counselor who I met with, and everything just kind of fell into place for it to happen that way. But I wasn't kind of forced to make the transition like a lot of people are right now during this time. Secondly, I never met the counselor I've done telemental health with and I meet with over the computer. I never met her in person prior to starting our telemental health. I still have not met her in person. Whereas a lot of people who are being forced to make the transition are a lot of times working with the same counselor they worked with in person and then just transitioning to online. So that's the second difference. And then thirdly, my counselor already had a lot of experience herself with telemental health. She had been doing telemental health for a few years before I started meeting with her. And also, when she made the decision to move to telemental health, it was by her choice as well. Whereas these days, a lot of counselors, they may have not anticipated making a change to telemental health. They may not have expected to rely on telemental health for their services, so they're caught a little off guard that way. And additionally, they don't have that experience before prior to trying to make it work with their clients. So that is another difference between my situation and the situation a lot of people are finding themselves in today. That being said, I do want to say that I have done in-person counseling. I did it both before I started telemental health, and I did it kind of in the middle of work doing telemental health because my psychologist that I do telemental health with had to go on maternity leave, and during that time I met with a different psychologist in person. So from about January to April in 2019, I met with a in-person counselor. And then when my counselor who does telemental health came back from maternity leave, I started meeting with her again in about April 2019, and I've been meeting with her ever since. So I just wanted to give a few little pointers or tips or just some things that may help people with this transition. It may not help, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to speak from my own experience and my own research. So one of the main things I've seen posts on social media sites about the transition from in-person counseling to telemental health. And one of the things I've seen a lot is kind of that therapeutic alliance, whether it's still there, whether it's still strong, whether telemental health can be as effective as in-person counseling. And I want to say, both from experience and my research, I believe it does. I believe it can be just as effective and it definitely is a transition, don't get me wrong, and it can be difficult for people, and telemental health is not the best option for everyone, so this isn't like universal, but from what research shows, the therapeutic alliance typically is just about the same in telemental health and in-person counseling. It definitely does take some adjusting to and some getting used to, especially if you're used to seeing that counselor in person, I think. But as far as like research goes, it does show that it can be just as strong of an alliance as in person, so that might be a little reassuring to some people. The other thing I wanted to say is I see people kind of being concerned that now that you're meeting online, you just don't feel as close to that counselor. And I want to say that I think that is to be expected, and that can be completely normal. One thing I'd suggest there is really bringing that up with your counselor if you can, because the great thing about counseling is you can be so honest and so open about everything you're feeling, and bringing that up with your counselor can really help you guys work through that and just have an open dialogue there when things aren't feeling comfortable. And although there's only so much we can do during this time, unfortunately, we can't change that, maybe that you're meeting over a webcam instead of in person. At least you can work through that and feel heard and know that they know kind of where you are with that, and that in itself can be comforting sometimes. The good thing is, this right now is temporary, and hopefully in the future at some point you will be able to meet with that counselor in person again. So just kind of keeping that in mind might be helpful. For now though, it's great that you're still able to keep some connection at all, and also your counselor is obviously switching to telemental health in order to make it happen, so it's great to just know that they're doing everything they can to try to stay connected with you and not interrupt the sessions and all that stuff. So I find that reassuring sometimes when I'm worried about things between me and my counselor, is that she is in different ways has showed me that she is making the effort to keep me in the loop and stay connected with me, and that can be reassuring. And I think that might be something some people can maybe try to hold on to with their counselors, that through everything that's going on in the world, your counselor is still trying to make it possible for you guys to keep meeting, which is awesome. So it's not perfect, but I hope that can help some people kind of hold on to at least that little bit of assurance between their relationship with their counselor. Okay, another thing I wanted to mention was definitely like one thing with telemental health that can be annoying are glitches in audio or video, the screen freezing and things like that. And I've definitely experienced my fair share of those over the past 2 years with my counselor. But the great thing is, with my experience with video chats just with friends and long distance friendships and stuff like that, and with her experience with telemental health, we're able to move through those pretty smoothly and work through those. It can get annoying sometimes. Sometimes we have to repeat ourselves. Sometimes we have to stop mid-sentence because it seems that things have frozen up and things like that. And it can be annoying, but we just kind of go with the flow, and I just kind of work through it. So I'll just start again. I'll repeat what I said. She has always done a really good job of letting me know as soon as she can when there's some glitches or she can't hear me or understand, or there's something cuts out, and I'll repeat myself if I can. And yeah, it's not perfect again, but it's something we're able to work through. One thing that's been really helpful is if things are getting way too glitchy with sound or even video, she'll call me, and we'll keep the video just to still have that picture so we can see each other, but we'll do all audio over the phone, so we'll mute the sound on the computer, and do all the audio over the phone so that at least what we're saying doesn't get interrupted, so we don't have to keep repeating ourselves. And sometimes the screen may still freeze up, but at least we can still hear each other, and that's the most important part of that. So some counselors might not have thought of that, especially if they haven't had time to prepare to move to telemental health. But I was thinking maybe that's something some people can bring up with their counselor, kind of to let them know that that might be an option, or see if that's an option for their counselor, to use a phone as audio. It's not an option for everyone, but it might be something to see if it is something you guys can make work, because I found that very, very helpful for my sessions when things have been super glitchy. But for the most part, we work through it. It doesn't happen. Doesn't happen to a terrible amount. We've had some sessions that are super glitchy, but we've had a lot of sessions that were not glitchy. But I just really love that idea of using the phone if things get too glitchy. And if that's not an option, just kind of knowing that, again, it's not a perfect option, but at least you're having some communication with your counselor, and it's better than nothing right now, especially during these times. At least there's something. So yeah, I just kind of want to throw that idea out there of the phone, and maybe some people can see if that's an option for them and their counselor. And I guess the last things I kind of want to talk about are just the kind of benefits of being at home, being in your own house, especially with something like counseling. So first of all, I'll say it's definitely best, if you can, to have a specific area just for counseling. I don't do it in my room. I'm fortunate enough to have other spaces I can do it in my house. I know that's not an option for everyone, but if you can, definitely finding that space. Some people are more open with their family members and others about their counseling sessions, and some people are less. My family, who lives in the same house as me, they all know about my counseling sessions, so they know when I'm going to do counseling, and they know to kind of give me that privacy and not interrupt. So if you're able to, if you feel comfortable doing so, definitely letting the people around you know can be helpful, so you don't get interrupted, or so you know you have privacy. Setting up a room, so I always try to make sure I have a water bottle and tissues just in case nearby. Sometimes a notebook, just things I need for a counseling session to be productive and feel comfortable, and anything I might need during that counseling session, I try to make sure I have nearby, so I don't need to leave to do that. So some of those little things can help if you're able to just get kind of in the counseling mindset and make a nice therapeutic atmosphere setting for yourself. One really cool benefit of being in your own house is it's really easy to bring things into counseling sessions. So sometimes I may have something I wrote down in a notebook, or a picture I want to share, or an object that I made or something, and they're all here in my house, so I can easily bring that into session and show my counselor and share that with my counselor, which may not be possible if I'm going to their office to meet with them. If anything I don't bring with me, I'm not going to have to show them. So there can be a little less preparation in those things. Like, I don't have to have a conversation with my counselor and be like, oh, well, I can bring this next time. We can be in the moment having a conversation. I'll be like, well, I can actually show you this right now. Let me go get it real quick, and take just a few seconds to go get it and bring it back. So that's a really cool thing about telemental health and doing it in your own house. Also, just your setting, your counselor can get a little bit more information about you based on your setting and your environment. If you have pets that are around, they can maybe be around during your session, and your counselor can see that and kind of use that to build on things. Of course, if you don't want your counselor to use those things, that should be completely up to you. If you don't want them to rely on like your setting or things going on in around you, that should be completely up to you, and a conversation you can have with your counselor if you notice that being a problem. But I think it's really cool when your counselor can use other things about you in your setting, and just other materials that you may not have ever taken to their office, to actually kind of get to know you better and get to like see those sides of you. So I just think that's a pretty cool thing, and kind of a positive of telemental health. And then the other thing is just like, sometimes I wake up literally 30 minutes before session brush my teeth, get ready, get dressed, eat breakfast right before a session, and all that obviously would not be possible if I had to commute to a counseling session. So I just think that's like a positive for me. It feels very cool because they're right there in my own house, and I literally just got ready to see them, and it feels kind of cool to me in that way. Of They feel sometimes even closer because they're like here with me. And the other thing is just rescheduling is sometimes a lot easier when we're both working from our homes, because it's easier for me to reschedule because I don't have to commute. I don't have to worry about getting there. There's a lot less time it takes. Instead of taking 2 hours because I need to travel 20 minutes to get there, travel 20 minutes back, and have the 1 hour session, it really only takes about an hour max because I'm not having that time to travel to get there. I don't have to take that into account. I can just get up, meet with them, and get on with my day a lot faster. So it's really easy for me to reschedule, and sometimes it's easier for my counselor to reschedule because same thing. She's at her house. She's able to not worry about commuting and kind of go to her office, her home office, to meet with me, and then go right back out to caring for her kids or whatever. Uh, so so that's kind of cool. We had a weekend session one time because she just got some things came up in her life during the week and we weren't able to meet, but we were able to reschedule for the weekend because we're both at our house. It's easy. It's easy to get that quick session in. So I just thought that was really cool. That might not be every counselor's policy, but I found it easier to reschedule. So that might be a positive for some people in some situations. And so I thought that was really cool. So this video was just a little video to hopefully get some of the positives of telemental health out there, to kind of get maybe some tips or just some ways to make it easier. I know it doesn't apply for everyone. I didn't know exactly what to talk about in this video, what parts to share. There's so much more I could share about telemental health, about my experience with it, my research. So please, I would love for anyone who has any questions about that, any problems they're facing with their situation, any concerns or anything like that, leave a comment and I will definitely either make a follow-up video talking about it or answer you right in the comments. If you want it to be a little bit more private, you can email me at kai.eli.fett@gmail.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible on that. But yeah, I've had a really great experience with telemental health so far. It definitely was a transition at first, and I was worried that it wouldn't be the same as in-person counseling, but it has been great. The best working relationship I've ever had with a counselor is the one I'm having right now with the one I do telemental health with. She's helped me with so much, through so much, and we've made a lot of progress over the past 2 years. So I'm a real advocate for telemental health, especially when it is the best option at the time or for certain people's situations, which right now, for a lot of people, it's what we have to deal with at the time with what's going on in the world. So yes, please, if you have anything more you'd like me to touch on about this, either email me or leave it in the comments below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But I hope this at least gives some people some ideas, some peace of mind, some tips, some help with this transition we're all kind of experiencing right now. I know anxiety's high, depression can be high, just being stuck in sucky situations at home is happening for a lot of people, and so mental health is so important throughout this time, and I'm really glad that something like telemental health exists so that people can still be connected to mental health services, even with the social distancing and the stay-at-home guidelines. Anyways, I hope you all are doing as well as possible throughout these times, and I hope to make another video without as much time passing as did between this video and my last video. So, anyways, stay strong, stay safe, and stay you. I love you all. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.